Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Decryption and I hope you are well. In the previous AI tutorial, we made our control points have special things we can apply to them via a series of different tags and variables we can set to make it perform custom actions. The ones we added were waiting, so when the guard walks up they'll just wait there for a bit, and dialogue, so when they walk up they can play a specific dialogue. Well, they've got a chance to play it. We were going to add animations in last time, but the tutorial was very long, so I split the animation part off onto a separate tutorial today. So in today's tutorial, we're going to add another custom action where you can walk up to a node and we can set it so the patroller must perform a certain animation or they'll have a chance to play it. So it could be they kicking some dirt, they're idling, something like that. They might pick something up. So let's get started. What we're going to do to play the animations is going to be a lot similar to what we did last time for the gameplay tags and the data assets. We will run through it again if you didn't follow the previous tutorial, and you should be okay to actually continue with the animations without having the custom actions from before. I'll cover again if we need to. So we need some animations that they can actually play when they arrive at the certain areas. So this is where some of the big reveal news is going to be about the channel. After much planning, we have now officially gained access to a motion capture suit for the channel. If you don't know what a motion capture suit is, it's a specialist suit that you can wear that tracks your position in the world, so you can then animate it straight into the computer. So for example, if we take a look at this person here, you can see all the little dots represent a track win. That's similar to what I have. I don't have this specific one. But the benefit of it is we don't have to animate all of this ourselves anymore. So before, we'd have to take all the hands, all the arms, we'd have to move them exactly like the skeletal mesh on our character. So if we come into here and open up their skeletal mesh, if we wanted to animate it before, we'd have to grab each one of these bones and move it into the position we want per frame, and then we'd have to animate it. That's how animations typically work. It'd take a long time to do. So if I open up one of the free Mixamo ones I've got, let's just do a basic punching one. You can see every single frame down here, we're having to animate and move every single bone that needs to react to it. So as you can imagine, that's a huge amount of time to use. Whereas now, with the motion capture suit, we can record this very, very quickly. We still have to clean it up, and it gives us good, accurate results. So I've recorded a bunch of animations specifically for this tutorial, for the animations for the guard to idly go around. And I'm going to give 2 of them away completely for free in the description. And then I also have a bunch more that are available on my Patreon for the low tier of £1. You can go on, download the animations for free. It helps support the channel and helps support the costly expense of the mocap suit. So let's have a quick look at the animations we've got. So I've split it into 2, which I'll release the downloads for. We have the Manny version, which is literally just the Unreal mannequin. It's rigged to this, so you can take it, you can rig it to whatever you want your characters. And then I have it rigged to the Polygon Elven characters, which I will also give out for you. So we have 11 different animations of them all looking around, doing stuff, idle stuff a guard would probably do if he was walking around. So we have basic ones where if I just simulate this, you can see he's just going to be looking around. It's all rigged to the character. It looks good. Just some really basic animation stuff. And then we have a few more complex ones. Like if we just drag a couple out, we have a stone throw, we have a coughing, we even have a peeing because, you know, every guard pees in a game at some point. Him lighting a cigarette, we have him picking a rock up off the floor and throwing it, and we having a pee-pee. And all these different animations we can easily bind to our characters and make them play it. So as he's walking around, he's not here at the moment, but he'll just walk up and we can say, play a random animation, have a pee if it's next to a wall kind of thing. And we can have fun with it. It'll be really cool. And just to show, they are also bound to Manny. So if you wanted to take this one, you can take the Manny in and it'll work. The Manny does look slightly better because they've actually got realistic hands. Look, this is the worst animation I could pick to do this. But you can see the hands collide correctly. The feet don't wobble very much because that's the cleanup we've had to do. And you can see they've just generally got more bones. So it works a little bit better on these ones. And they also work on metahumans. I've tested on there as well. But yes, there's a bunch there. I'll release 2 in the description for free. Like I say, the rest will be on my Patreon. £1, you can go on, download, all yours. All goes towards supporting the channel. So let's crack on. How do we go around doing this? So we need a way to be able to tell each node what type of animations they're allowed to play, because we don't want the peeing animation to play here, because say on this node there's nothing around it to pee. He wouldn't just randomly pee in the middle of the floor. You'd pee against a wall or something. That's what you do. Likewise, if you had like a king sat here watching over him, the guards are patrolling to protect him, you wouldn't have him pee right in front of him. That'd just go really, really weird. Or throw a stone. So we need to make sure we balance this correctly. And I actually think the gameplay tags, what we did last time, worked really, really well. But if you didn't watch the previous tutorial, we have the gameplay tags, which is basically a series of booleans but named correctly, so it works really well. So we've got this patrol points dialogue, and we've got one for has rats and is wet. So if we just add a animation one and add more tags to it to say what type of animations are applicable or what type of area, so like we'll have a secluded, a wall, something like that, we can then schedule the animations against each one, randomize it, chance whether they do it, and it's perfect. So let's start off there. Let's go with the gameplay tags. So just in case you haven't watched the previous tutorial, you need to enable gameplay tags in edit plugins and then add a gameplay tag container to your patrol point. So on this patrol points over here, let's just give us a bit more room. I'm going to come and add a whole new set of tags. So I'll still call it NPC, but I'll call it .patrol points. And then instead of dialogue, I'm going to do animation. I'll copy that because we'll reuse it. So let's see, what type of animations did we have? We had peeing, which we need the wall one, don't we? So we'll call this one animation.secluded, which basically means alone. You're isolated. You're not in anyone's view. There might be other guards, but you know, it'll be fine. You're not in any immediate danger. So we need to select a source, so I'll just select the source again. There we go. So we've now got secluded. What else could we have? We'll put rocks in there because there was a couple of stone throw ones, animation-wise. So what have I got? So I've got a bunch of idle look-arounds, which they could be played on any of them, really. We've got a stone throw, which with a rock will happen. Smoking, coughing, they'll be acceptable for one. Spitting, that can be on the rock one, potentially. Kicking dirt can be on the rock one. Peeing needs to be secluded. Full turnaround will be counted as look-around. So I guess if we add one more of public, so they're in public view, then that can cover all of the other animations, like looking around and stuff. Secluded can be the smoking, because you wouldn't be smoking in front of the king, you'd be on prime, wouldn't you? Spitting would be public. And then what I will also do is I'll add a high risk tag as well. For public, that'll be for me, such as smoking, coughing, kicking dirt kind of thing. But then high risk wouldn't be any of those, because high risk is you're in front of a king, somebody you're protecting. That will literally just be the look-arounds. No smoking, no peeing, just full professional, I guess you could say. So let's add some of these then. So I do kind of want to do the throne thing, because that sounds pretty cool. So I have got a demo throne here, so we'll just put that there. So just as a test, it's not real at all. If they're in front of here, this one's considered high risk. So let's add the animation of high risk. Yeah, we need one in between these two. We've got one back here. Yeah, I'll do. We'll do one here of secluded. There we go. Got some rats here. The rats count as rocks. You might try to throw something. That would be nice to try. So we've got a bunch of different ones now. You'll notice I've got labels above here as well. All I've done is literally clicked on it and added the text render directly here. So it's just for this one. In the game, it does show, but it's just in the dev map, so I know what they're going to do at any point. So on this one, we'll do it again. Look, I'll just come to here. I'll add a text render like so, and I'll name it, what's this one? A animation high risk. There we go. And then I'll just center align it because it always looks nicer. Bring it up above so we can see it and rotate it around. There we go. So now when we come in, we can see that this animation is high risk. And that's all I've done. So now we actually need a way to say that this character can perform these actions. Because if you've got a giant troll, he's probably not going to smoke a cigarette. He's probably going to stamp on the ground, growl maybe, you know, something like that. And elves, you know, high priestess elves, they're not going to be caught peeing somewhere. That's just not going to work. It's not their personality. So we need to make animations work per NPC, per node as well. So we've sorted the per node thing out with the gameplay tags, and now we need to say that these NPCs in this area will perform these animations. So last time we added the named dialogue section here, which was a data asset, which we set up for depending which tag you had. So we had rats over here, and then we had a wet puddle over there. So we've set two of them up. And if we open this up, it's got a bunch of different things on, saying if it's got these tags here, then it'll perform one of these dialogues. It's got a 0.6 chance to play, and it performs this one. We're going to repeat that for the animations, where we'll still have the has tags, but we won't have the dialogue ID or asset. We'll just have a list of animations, and we'll still have a chance to play. So let's go and duplicate this then. So I'm going to come to my blueprints folder, and inside my primary data assets, I'm going to duplicate PDA named dialogue, and I'll call it PDA underscore patrol animation, and I'll open it up. So you need a variable called has tags or something like that, and it'll be a type of gameplay tag container. We don't need the dialogue ID anymore, or the dialogue asset. We do need the chance to play, but what I am also going to add is the animations that can play. Now I'm going to make this an array because you will want it to randomize animations. You don't want it to perform the same look around animation every time you're there. It just won't feel right. So I'll come to the Boolean and I'm going to set it to an Anim Montage. Here, I'm going to set it to a soft object reference. And what this means is it won't load the animations in memory until we specifically say, load this one in memory. We have to tell it to do it, which is perfect because it means all these guards can walk around with their state trees. None of the animations are loaded in memory until that guard specifically says, give me access to the memory. And then after a while, garbage collection will run and remove it anyway. So it's really efficient. But because we want a bunch of animations, I'm going to right click it to turn it to an array, or you can change it up here like that. And now I'll hit compile and save. And just to test that we've selected the right soft class, if you click here, you can select all your animations. You might be wondering why we're using an animation montage instead of animations. And 9 times out of 10, when you play a bespoke animation in Unreal, something that's not part of their normal animation blueprint, like walking, that's done very often. Stood idle, that's done semi-often. But these ones where they'll only do it at specific points, you don't do it very often. So you want an animation montage, and it gives you loads of abilities to plug into the animation to say when it's done, to perform certain things. So for example, on the stone throw animation here, what we can do when we convert it to a montage is when he bends down to pick it up there, at this point we can add an animation notifier and say pick up stone, and it'll attach it to his hand. And then when he picks it up like this, and then at this point when he throws it, we can add another notifier to say release stone, and then, give it some projectile-ness, and then it'll throw it over there, and it'll look like he's thrown the stone. That's what you basically do. When we start the animation as well, we could add a notifier to just make a stone magically fade up from the ground, so it looks like it's picked something up. Either way, that's why we're going to use animation montages. I'm going to make sure it's public instance editable with the eyeball, and I'm going to click compile. So that's pretty much the data asset setup, and let's actually start creating some for it. I'm going to come to my NPCs folder, and I've got one called name dialog. I'm going to add another one called patrol animations, and inside here I will right click miscellaneous data asset, and I'm going to type our PDA underscore patrol animation, and this is our first one. So let's do NA underscore, let's do high risk. That's the one right in front of us. So in here, the tags, if it's got the tag of high risk, and the way we built it, or the way we will build it, you can take a series of these and it will basically say if it's got any of these tags. If you want one which says it must have all of these tags to be able to run it, then I'll try to remember how to show you that in the tutorial, but if I forget, just let me know in the comments. So the chances to play, let's just set it to 1 for now, just so it plays all the time, so we can actually test it, and then we can change that later. And then in the animations, this is where we start allocating the animations for this NPC. Now, there is one thing you have to make sure. This DA high risk here, I'm actually going to come and rename it to guard 1 underscore high risk, because if we have this guard here, he has his own skeletal mesh, those animations need to be bound to his skeletal mesh. If we go to a different asset pack, say Fantasy Kingdom, and we drag one of these guys in, the animations that work for the elven character won't work for this one because they've got 2 different skeletons. You could make them the same skeleton, but when you've got aliens with tentacles and stuff, big orcs and elves with movable ears or something, they're not compatible, it just won't work. So you need to make sure these data assets work for the specific characters you're on. So if you have, say, a pirate one, just create another one of these called DA Pirate High Risk, and it works. The other option is you can modify this to have each animation linked to the skeleton that it supports, but I'm not going to go that deep with it. So let's create our montages then. So super easy. Let's go back to our Polygon Elven folder, look around, and then for all the animations you want, right click after you've selected them all, create Anim Montage, and it'll just go through and create an animation montage for every single one just like that. You could go through and rename it. I'll do that off camera and just make it look nicer. But yes, there's them all set up with montages, meaning we now can come into here and we can select all the high risk animations. So I actually cannot remember what I said the high risk animations were going to be. I'm going to have to lag my way through this again. So I've just filtered on Anim Montage. Let's see. So look around 1, 2, and 3. They're proper high risk ones. So we can just delete that off and hopefully drag all of these in. No, so we have to do it one by one. That's fine. So I'll drag that in, and drag that one in. Coughing, you probably won't be doing that. You won't be throwing stones or smoking if you're in a high-risk area. You're professional. You definitely won't be having a pee unless you are drunk, which you could add as a tag. DA Guard 1 drunk, and they can pee in high-risk areas. Full turnaround montage, they probably will be doing that. That one, if you don't know, is literally just the guard. Instead of just looking down in his position, he will do a full turnaround like so. He's proper investigating the area, making sure there's no problems. Spitting, you probably won't do, and you probably won't smoke. So that's the high risk one set up. I can't actually remember what the other ones we added were. Was there a rats one? I think we did one on this one, didn't we? Yeah, so we did animation rocks on that one. So I'll just add this to the text as well. Shift enter if you need a new line. Did we do one here? Nope. Did we do one here? Nope. Did we do one here? We did. So we got a secluded one. You can also copy components if that helps. If I come and copy this text render component, come to this one, click the arrow and paste it, you'll paste the text render component in there. So this one was, I believe, peeing, wasn't it? Secluded, yeah. So not peeing, this is secluded. We'll make sure to call it secluded because then it gives us the maximum chance to reuse it whenever we can. Because if you just do peeing, it's always got to be about peeing. If you do secluded, it could be getting funky with another guard, potentially. Either way you want. There we go. So we got some nice text so we know what's going off now. So we've got high risk. Let's do the rocks one as well while we're here. So I'll come to this one. I'll press Ctrl B to select this, duplicate. And instead of high risk, we'll call it rocks. So we'll open this up. And instead of high risk, we'll get rid of that tag and we'll come and add rocks. But we'll also say this is a public one because it is. It's publicly available, so we can do a multitude of animations for this one. And then instead of these ones, let's actually add the high risk animations, the cool ones, because that's what we're here for, isn't it? So let's see. So if you've got rocks, you'll probably pick a rock up and throw it. So we'll kick some dirt. We will stone throw. Secluded is more of a smoking thing, so I will probably put some of the look at ones in. I'll put the coughing ones in, and we won't do the peeing. We'll do the spitting just for now, and we'll do the smoking, why not? So we've got a bunch of different ones on that one. And then the final one I'll do is the secluded one, and I'll open this up. This one won't be any of these public. Actually, it could be public, but it'll also be included. And then instead of these animations, we will get the proper animations that need to be kept away secretly, such as having a pee, kicking dirt, smoking again, and why not? We'll even do spit. There we go. So we've got a variety of different data assets here. So how do we apply these to the guard? Real easily, we simply add a variable to the NPC. I'll open up my BP NPC, and we've got named dialog PDA here. We'll just add another variable under it called patrol animations. And then we will set this to a type of PDA, patrol animation, right click to make sure it's an array, instance editable, and compile and save. Nice and easy. So now on here, if I scroll down, you'll see we have the patrol animations. I can simply add 3 and then add in our high risk, rocks, and secluded. So now we've told this guard, whenever you reach a patrol point, we can now check which animations this specific guard is allowed to play. So we won't have orcs, fine dining or talking nicely to another guard or something. So the last thing is to actually make it so when the guard arrives at this location, we check if the animation is available. So on here, if it's got some tags to support animation, then we can allow it. If it's not, then there's no point to it. And then we can actually tell him to randomly pick an animation that supports it, so it must have high risk. And then we can tell the guard, are you allowed to play it? Do a chance, and then run with it. If I come and open up my state tree now, state tree patrol, you see we've got this one from before, where we come in, we go to the patrol point, we have grouped our NPC actions together, we play some dialogue if we've got it, we wait, and then we move to the actions complete, which simply sends us down here. So I'm going to come and duplicate our ST play named dialogue, but I'll go through it again for those who don't have it. So I'll duplicate it and I'll call it STT_play patrol animation, and I'll open it up. So if you haven't got this one, just create a new state tree task and just add in the enter state. The first thing we're going to do is go to our function, which tells us whether or not we can do this. The reason we've split it out of here is we end up doing quite a lot of code that's just nicer to have tucked away. So create a new function called canPlayAnimation and go into it. Inside here, the first thing we want to do is, well, we don't actually need to check if the player's close enough for them to play it or not. Like, it'd be nice to, but if the player's so far away that they can't see an animation, I'd argue we shouldn't be rendering them at all. So I think we're pretty much good for this one. And we'll just cancel that one off and come straight across. The next thing we need to do is we need to check if the patrol point that we're currently at has a tag for animation. So we're going to get the NPC owner, which is a variable we passed in via the input category. Very important there. After that, we're going to get the current patrol point, which is something we added to the previous NPC here, because state trees don't let you save local data, unfortunately. So what we've basically done is just create a current patrol point, and we set that every time we get a new one. Then we get the gameplay tags, which is the variable we added earlier. Then instead of dialogue, we want to say it has animation. We don't want to tick exact match because it'll check if they're an NPC, if they've got patrol points, or if they've got animation. We just want all of it. They've got to have that entire tag. And if it's false, we just return false, they can't play it, and then we'll sort the output soon because we will be returning the animation montage list. If it's true that they do have that, the patrol point does have this animation one, we can come across. We don't want the name dialogue anymore. We want the patrol animations. Then we're going to for each loop off of this one. We'll have to do it above because you can't change a for each loop's data attribute, annoyingly. Move it down here. Connect this to the set here, but we're going to rename this one. So instead of currently named dialogue, we'll do current animation. And instead of being PDA named dialogue, it'll be PDA anim patrol animation. And this is a local variable, which is another benefit of functions. It means you can just create variables that only affect this function. So inside here, we're now setting the current animation, and we can connect that to our loop over all the animations. Then we're checking the has tags property of this. So we'll just do get has tags, and then we can plug this into this tag container. And we're saying, does it have any of the tags that are mentioned in the current patrol points gameplay tags? So in the current patrol point, we search if they've got any tags under animation. This is getting the gameplay tags, which is on here. So all of these, and it's checking if any of those tags in there support the tags that our current animation says inside here. Does the patrol point have this tag? That's what we're basically checking. If it doesn't, we're not going to do anything. We'll just let the next for loop run. If it does have it, then what do we need to do? We need to actually get the chance to play. And I'm going to plug it in to a random bool with weight, like so. And what this is going to do is if this is 1, this will be true. It'll just always be true. If this is 0, this will always be false. If this is 0.5, this will be true or false 50% of the time. If it's false, again, we don't do anything because we'll let the for loop run. But if it's true, then we can play the animation. We want to return true, that's fine. But instead of returning the selected dialogue, we're going to rename this to selected animation, and we're going to return our PDA patrol animation. We'll plug this in like so. We had a couple back here. So this one will return nothing. That's correct. This one here, if we get to the completed state of the for each loop, it means nothing has returned. So either they've just not had the right chance or they haven't had any tags. That's completely fine. It's not an error. Then we'll just return nothing again. Otherwise, we return the animation. Yeah. So that can play animation. That's the pretty much easy function. In here, we've got a few things we need to change. So can we play true or false? If we can't play the animation, it means either we don't have the tags, the patrol point's not got the tags, our chance hasn't let us. Then we just go to succeeded false. It'll carry on the tasks. That's fine. Otherwise, we need to load the animations. So let's get rid of that. So I'm going to get rid of all of this over here. I'm going to drag off the selected animation, and I'm going to do get animations here, which will get us a list of all the animations we can play. Then I'm going to get a random one. So we'll just do random array item. And then the reason we did this in a function, but we're doing this in the event, is we need to now load this soft reference. So a soft reference isn't in memory. You can't just play it. It's simply got a location to where it is. We need to tell Unreal, load it into memory now. So it's real easy to do. So I'm going to drag off of here and I'm going to do load, and you'll see we've got 2. If you did this inside the function, you would only be able to do load asset blocking, which means as your game thread is running, the blocking would stop it from running, load the animation, then continue. If you've got a very quick computer and a very small animation, you'll never notice it. But if you've got a big chunky metahuman loading in kind of thing, you'll see a noticeable frame drop as it's trying to load it. Load asset async load asset does it in pieces in the background, so you won't notice it run. So that's why we want to do it here, because we don't want to lock the user's thread at all, because so that's why you get frame drops, that's why you get lag. So on completed, we now have what we need. I'm going to get the NPC owner, and I'm going to simply drag off and do play anim montage. I'm going to get their skeletal mesh, so all the way down at the bottom, we want this one, and that's the default mesh that comes with your character. If you haven't set these to a type of character, I highly recommend you doing so, because it just makes Unreal work nicely. That's a character, and it comes with a default mesh. And in here, we can simply drag off and we can do play montage. Now, you might be tempted to drag from the NPC owner and simply do play anim montage. This anim montage, for the most part, will work, but you've got no way of knowing when it finishes. For my game, what I want to do is if they have to play an animation here, they are frozen there until the animation's completed. Like, we could interrupt it if an enemy runs in and stuff, that's fine. But I don't want them trying to walk away in the middle of having a pee because that's just going to look really weird. So I want them to be frozen there. So that's why I'm going to use this play montage, so it can specifically tell us on completed or when we get a notifier what to do. I'm going to delete this off. I'm going to connect this to the completed. And then the montage to play, we need to actually get it from here. So you'll notice this soft object reference can't be plugged in, and neither can this object. We need to resolve it. So we're going to drag off this. You can technically do it that way, or you can just type resolve like so. Now it's important to note, you need to have the resolve and the load asset. If you hover over the resolve and read it tries to resolve a soft reference and it gets the class or the object, whatever you're loading, that's fine. If the object isn't loaded, then it will return none, which means it will pass none this way into here, which will error. This async load asset basically tells this, wait, don't run this code here until this is loaded in memory. Now, instead of having a location for the animation, we have the actual animation. Resolve it basically means translate it from a location to an actual asset, and then plug it into the montage. And then with that, on completed, we can drag off and just do finish task. Make sure you have it, otherwise you're going to have an error. If we interrupt it, because the player says take over, whatever, we'll do that, and that should pretty much be it. Uninterrupted is if we've told it to play a different animation for some reason. And that, ladies and gentlemen, if we hit compile, is pretty much it. So if we go back to our state tree now, and let's see. So our dialogue will play, and then instantly go to the next node before the dialogue is finished, because then it means they can wait and play the dialogue at the same time. I think we should add our animation after the dialogue, but before waiting node, because then this gives us the ability for the dialogue to play and an animation to run. So if we have a dialogue of is peeing or something like that, they can be playing the animation going, you know, whatever sound people make when they pee in games, or something like that. You could also add a sequence here if you want them to do something more extravagant, but for now I think this is fine for me. So I'll add a child state of NPC animation. I'll add a transition of go to next state, which will simply push it down. And then the task is our brand new play patrol animation. Excel. The NPC owner is just our actor, so that's the context for it. And now we should be able to try this, and gentlemen. So in theory, he should walk to this here and play a high risk animation, which should be one of these. It's set to 1, so he should play it every time. Let's try. You can see he's walking up and he's doing it. Look at that. He's playing a high risk animation. He's looking around. Oh, it's so cool. This is the first time I've actually seen it in game. And then in theory, after he scratches his face, he just walks away. The blending could be better. I'm not bothered about that for now. That's artist work. So we walk there. There's no tags there. This one, he should talk about the rats. In theory, 60% chance. And
go
play
on, get rats. Typical. Someone should clean up this place.
Well, that's a bit
rats,
buggy. He's
typical.
playing loads
Someone
of dialogue.
clean...
He really
rats,
doesn't like these
typical.
rats. And he's lighting a cigarette in the Rock's public area. There's having a little cigarette break. He's still looking around. He's technically doing his job. Yeah. I'll put the cigarette out, and then he should walk to the next area. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. An animation sequence. I need to figure out why the dialogue is doing that. I'm not quite sure why it's doing it. We can find out. What's this one secluded? He's going to have a pee. Nope, this guy is a heavy smoker. He's just smoked one literally 10 seconds ago. He wants another one. Oh, that one finished quickly, that one. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We now have animations on patrol mode, so we can make them do all sorts of things we want. And it's not specific to this guard. There's many different guards as you want. Different animations, different skeletons. You can even make some guards not have some animations at all. So maybe you've got a guard who's not a smoker. If that's part of your game, don't give him the animation. And because we've made it a nice, easy data asset, if we clone this guard, it's really, really easy to come in and simply remove bits. So if this guy here, he doesn't do anything secluded, it's too professional. And that's it. It's just as simple as adding different data assets to the guards. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this has helped. The animations, as I say, will be in the description for a free download. I don't know if they'll be on Patreon's free tier or not. I don't know where it is yet. Just look in the description and I'll point where the animations will be. But I'll release 2 of them with the montages and everything set up for you, and then pick which download you want. If you are wanting all of the different animations, please support me on Patreon. I've put it as the lowest tier you could need. So I've put it on the lowest tier here, access to Mocap animations. You'll get all the animations included in this tutorial. And if anybody's interested, the Mocap suit I do have is the Perception Neuron 3. I will be putting a video out of my experience soon, but there's some flakiness with new technology that I need to get used to before I want to put out a review video. And I may also talk why I didn't go the path of Rikoku as well. That'll be an interesting one. Subscribe for that upcoming content. Yes. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this helps. Any issues, please comment below and I will try my best to help you. My name is Decryption and I will see you next time.